morning, welcome to the video. So it is Monday the 7th of July. Now woke up to a lot of rain and that has passed through now, and it was good rain too, and the week is going to be getting hotter, back to the 30 degrees at the weekend, I think. So today started with a quote, and a turfing quote at that, so I'll come back to that in a bit. I just done some Monday lawn care jobs. If you remember last week, it was pretty hot Monday, Tuesday, so I postponed them. So I'm just doing those ones now. I'm just on this lawn here, and as you can see, it's really lush with rain. Now, if I compare this to that, the difference is this is fed, but it's also got irrigation put in. Now, irrigation's good, except for when it's not good, and that is when it doesn't quite get all the areas. So you see that bit there, I think it's a bit of prevailing wind and also a little bit of reach. So this sprinkler here probably goes to the flower bed. So what's that? 1, 2, we'll call it 3. But from here, 1, 2, and then you can see it sort of gets here and then not over here. So that's kind of the problem. But anyway, the client's aware of it and he's going to sort it. But that is the difference between an irrigated lawn and a non. So we've done 2, and now we're on to some lawns you might recognise. The first one actually I didn't film. That was one which was seeded at the start of the year, which was sort of successful, and it was just a follow-on feed. The last one, obviously the irrigation, we'd been at that one before, I think. This one you would have seen me do lots of seeding jobs as that sort of, the shade was taken away, and then we've feeded it. They've had some landscapers in who have, there was a pond out there, so they've turfed that area. Kind of is what it is. The client's done a bit of seeding around it. I would say the level of the turf and the grass don't butt up, but that's me being me. I would do it differently. And the battery was pretty flat from the weekend. I didn't charge this one, and it ran out on me. I couldn't quite understand why I wasn't gaining any pressure, and it's because the battery's flat. So that's fair enough. So we'll give that a bit of a charge while I'm here, and then chuck another one in. Also out the front, I used to treat the lawn, but it was a bit ropey because, and this is what the landscapers I guess were here to do originally, is this was just sort of blended into gravel, bit of nothingness, people drove over it, and I said, you know, you want to make a definitive line of what's drive, what's lawn, and then hopefully the brick will stop most of the gravel coming over. The only thing, now I don't know if this is an afterthought or whatever, is you can see they've added a tiny bit of soil and a tiny bit of seed. What I would be looking to do is take a level of soil from the lawn and going flush with the top of this, because this, if you dig down, you can already see that's concrete. That's concrete that this is bedded in. So if any grass was to grow here, you'll probably get 5 mil of roots. So you'll always notice wherever you've got this kind of like retaining wall or whatever you want to call it, that section will always go really brown and die off during the summer, or go dormant first, because the roots are so shallow. So what I would do, and also with the mower and stuff, is I would have just filled that right to the top, just give it as much soil as possible, just to keep it. The more soil you've got, the more roots you're going to have, and also it just finishes it off a bit nicer, and it's easier to mow then because you can just run the mower down. Otherwise you're just going to be running the mower down this line here, and that's never going to grow or come to anything. So you're kind of almost like creating more strimming work, because what will happen is you'll end up having to trim this edge, whereas if it was level with the mower, with the brickwork, you could run the mower down, and then actually the only time you'd really need to trim is to edge it as opposed to cut it. So that's just one thing to be aware of. Over the other side, it seems like he's nicked my trick, and well, not my trick, but I've done a lot of seeding where I've put fleece down, so he's obviously realised that's the way forwards. So he's obviously done a lot more prep work on that side, and I assume he's just run out on this side. But that's all I would do differently to just improve this area a little bit. Another lawn. If you remember last time I was here, it was very hot, and I put that edge in and brought it out, and did the same on the other side. This desperately needs a feed, and then I did the edge on the other side too. So I'll show you that one now. Here you go. Not ideally helped by that needs to be cut back. And then also there was a massive tree stump that had been, I suppose, cut out. It was about there, I think, and it was a massive dip as what was remaining had rotted away. So we seeded that as well. Not sure what this is all about, but that was the section we did. So that's come on nicely. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Now this is an example of how lawn care should work, but it doesn't work, and it hasn't worked today. So in this road, I have 3 houses in a row, and then I have one house, and then I have the house that or should I say there's one house, then there's the house I was just at. So 4 houses in the road, and they would all be in a row except for one. And then I've got another one just sort of which backs onto these just around the corner there. So that's 5 houses, and in theory I probably don't even need to move the van, and many times I've just left it at this particular house. I've left the van and then I've just pushed the spreader from house to house, just because it's quicker actually than loading the van up and moving the van, particularly when I've got the trailer on and its access can be quite difficult. However, the problem is I sent all my emails out for these clients, and I heard back instantly from this client here at this house saying, yep, fine, no worries. I heard back then from one lady 2 doors down, and she said, yes, in theory, but we currently have a gazebo up, which I assume is for next weekend perhaps, because she said it won't be taken down until the 14th, I think. So that's next Monday. So she said, yes, we do want the lawn care, or yes, please come in, but not this week, maybe the 14th. And also we have had a gazebo up, so you'll probably need, there'll be extra work you'll need to do as well. So that's fine. One of them has said it's inconvenient, and the other one, he's very flaky, and to be honest I would have dropped him years ago, but while I'm here doing all of these, if he comes out and he catches me and he'll probably go, oh, can you give us a feed, will you, while I'm here? So while I'm here, why not do it? I mean, I'm literally walking past his house while pushing a spreader. So actually, of 5 houses, I'm actually only doing 2 today. So on paper this is a brilliant round, but in reality it's not. Fortunately, it's not a million miles away from the house, so it's, you know, it's not the end of the world. And with the gazebo lady, for instance, let's say gazebo, I mean marquee, like it's a substantial thing. I'm going to be coming back, so maybe the one who was inconvenient and the one who hasn't got back to me, they might change their mind, and then I'll come over here and do 3. But yeah, it's on paper it should be easy, but in reality it's never quite the same. And I remember friends of mine, you know, they'd go and do a quote, and then they'd go, oh, and my neighbour, he's interested too. Now, because we're together, is there any chance we can get a discount? But the problem is you give them that discount, but then you can bloody guarantee you get there and one of them's forgotten to unlock his gate. So now you're having to go back, and of course there's no discount there because it's cost you double in fuel. So yeah, I'm always skeptical of things like that, because this is the problem. People don't answer their emails, people don't answer their phones, people just aren't thinking about it, people have gone away, whatever, and their schedule and your schedules just very rarely align. So yeah, I much prefer almost the access, and this is why I prefer doing lawn treatments for my mowing clients, because I'm there. While I've cut the grass, I can then just feed it. I haven't got to contact them and try and see if it's appropriate to come in, this, that and the other. I can just do it as and when. I can say, oh, it's 30 degrees this week, I won't bother feeding it, but next week it looks like rain, I'll do it then. And you get a lot more flexibility on it. But anyways, there's some ramblings for you on a Monday. Morning, welcome to the video. So it is Tuesday, and I think today is probably going to be, maybe yesterday as well, the nicest days of the week, because from tomorrow onwards it's getting hot. So fortnightly mowing, so small lawns really. I can't remember if we're doing 10 or 11 today. Hay to 56, hay to 41, and then we've got the Ego for that weird sort of raised bank type thing, which if you remember in the past, because it's on such a bank, the 41 actually wants to topple over, so the Ego has a lower sense of gravity, so it is the tool of choice on that one. And just a small little handheld blower, obviously strimmer. We've got the 4 batteries there, the 2 AP200s and 2 300s, and I will probably have to charge one of those batteries at someone's house, but that will see me through the day. Slightly different, so I'm helping one of my clients out who's not particularly well, who actually lives in my road, and they were a lawn care client, but I'm now doing their mowing for them, and I think that's probably going to be long-term mowing now. Now I normally do theirs last job of the day, but for whatever reason the access is through the garage, which is okay, but unless I've got a key, they've got to be in. So as I say, I normally don't take jobs on like that where access is poor, because you can guarantee they won't be in when you get there. But because I sort of know them, they're in my road, etc, etc, I'm doing it and it's fine. But they are going out at the time I normally go around, so I'm actually going to start with early at their house, which actually works better for me, because otherwise I end up basically going home, cutting their lawn with the 41, then having to come back up here to change all the mowers over for Wednesday, because I want to get an early start on the Wednesday. Whereas now, on my way home, I can pop in, change everything else, go home and stay home. So yeah, I mean, it's a normal Tuesday. I've been showing you now for a year and a half these fortnightly Tuesday lawns. So again, if anything of note pops up, I will let you know. So it's 11 o'clock now. We've got 1, 2, 3, we've done 3, no, we've done 4. We've done 4. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 6 more, is that? I've just had to pull over, well, I've stopped at the client's house. I've been here about 15 minutes. I've just tried to basically trying to sort out these potential turfing jobs for next week, and I've just had 4 different conversations going on at once. So hopefully everyone's had the right response to the right, actually no, 1, 2, 3, 5 conversations going on at once. So yeah, God, it's stressful sometimes, but all good fun. So yeah, so we're just going to crack on with this one. Front lawns seem to be quite burnt up. Back lawns, I guess clients are more willing to water their back lawns because that's where they spend most of their time potentially. But a lot of these lawns, I'll show you just next doors quickly, very, very brown, as is the whole street really. Okay, so Tuesday done. It's now 5 o'clock, I think, so a true 8-hour working day, but obviously by the time I've got to container, it's now getting on for 5. And on the whole, most people have done a good job of watering, except for the last house, which hasn't done any watering. And she stopped me and she said, look, it's not worth cutting. Now I've always said to my clients, you know, if it's not worth cutting, let me know in good time, because I've got plenty of other things I could be doing. But if I do turn up and you haven't told me you don't want the grass cut, then you're either getting a cut or you're getting charged for it, because I've driven all the way to your house. And she said, oh, but I've got these beds need, you know, some pulling out and this, that and the other. I said, well, last year for you, I just trimmed it down when it all died off. Oh, well, I think it needs you know, and I was like, and you haven't told me. I said, I've got no tools. I don't carry garden tools. just randomly. She's like, oh, I can get you some. So she was like, oh yeah, it's just this. Apart from the daylilies, leave them. I was like, yeah, obviously. And then of course I started clearing it, and she's like, oh, did you? What about the? And she listed all these plant names. And I, oh, did you take that out? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she goes, well, what? How? I'm surprised by that. You're a gardener. I said, I'm not a gardener, am I? I said, you've been to my website. You hired me from my website. There is no mention of gardening. We're standing right by my van. There is no mention of gardening, lawn mowing, lawn care, turfing and reseeding, autumn clear-ups. You could add sports turf if you want. She said, but that's so strange. I just can't believe this to be real. You know, like, you spend all day in a garden. I said, well, it's a bit like asking a tiler to plumb your toilet in, isn't it? He spends all day in a house. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's actually knows how to plumb a toilet in. To which she was like, yeah, I know. It's just really weird, isn't it? I said, well, no, not really. I said, you have experts in every field. She then went on to tell me all about these gardeners she had in who didn't know what they were doing. And I said, well, they're obviously not gardeners, are they? They're just people who've fancy hacking some hedges down and some bushes down and looking for an easy way to make money, which is fine. I said, but, you know, I have never, ever said to you I am a gardener. So anyway, I cleared this bed out, and then she said, oh, and then I've got this in the back garden, I've got that in the back garden, and I said, whoa. I said, you are one of 11 houses I need to do today. I said, I can't just do extra time just because I'm doing something different to mowing grass. And she said, oh, right, oh, okay, well, I didn't realise. And I said, well, I didn't expect you to realise. You don't need to realise, you just need to know that I'm here to cut your grass, and that's that. So anyway, that's it. She then came back out, we had a bit more of a conversation about it, and I just explained to her, you know, that my background is golf course. There are no flowers on the golf course. And I've said to her, look, you know, I do all your hedges and shrubs for you. I was like, give me a heads up. I'll bring the hedge trimmers, and you know, even if I can just do a couple of shrubs or something in the, because realistically I'm only there for, it's a tiny little lawn, I'm only there for half an hour maximum. If I can just do a couple of shrubs for you, then that's something, isn't it? So anyway, I think she's got the point. So tomorrow, fortnightly mowing again, and then wife's away Thursday. Not sure if she's away early morning or not. So while I've got the opportunity, I'm going to set the van up for tomorrow, where actually I only need the Time Master. Cub Cadet, the bloody parts only just come through, so that's not been fitted on yet. So everything tomorrow will be cut with the Cub Cadet. Everything tomorrow will be cut with the Toro Time Master, so that's the only mower I need. However, Thursday, I will need the Time Master and the Hater Pro 56, and I'll also need that set up on, well, yes, I'll need that set up on Friday as well, should I be mowing. So yeah, I'll get those mowers on board now, and then they're just on there. I probably will need some hedge cutting stuff for Friday actually, but I'm not going to put that on yet. I'll nip up and get that Thursday if necessary. Okay, job for today. The hedge around the pool. Now in theory I should be able to walk across this, but I have no intention on trying. Okay, so first 5 minutes was going quite well, then it went bad. So essentially what we then realised is actually, crikey, there's just no room here to cut this. So I've taken it back to the wall as far as I can, and then I got the long handled hedge trimmer out, and you can see how far I've got standing like this. So then I thought, right, I'll go around into that corner, cut a little bit back just so I can manoeuvre, and then cut in, and then do as much as I can, same sort of principle, long handled hedge trimmer, hopefully get all of it. I've got the extension pole, should there be that last bit I just can't quite get. However, there is a wasp's nest right in the top corner over there, and I have now been stung on the back of the head. Hopefully that will be the end of that. I've got paracetamol and ibuprofen in the van and stuff. I might even have some antihistamine, but the client was pretty quick to bring it out, so that's cool. So yes, we're just going to do what we can without interfering with the wasps too much. Told the client obviously to get some wasp killer and just spray that corner, and hopefully next week I'll be able to just carry on. But I'll do what I can around them. Obviously I can't get to that section yet, so hopefully I can kind of do that bit if nothing else. And then obviously this side, top of this, and all those bits. One of the good things about a really big ladder is you can really see where you're working. I'll spin you around. So actually the stripe would have been this side to side stripe, which had it been nice and green actually would have made quite a decent photo. I've got one which I'll add to what it did look like this time last year, and that was a photo taken for up the ladder over by that hedge over there, which boundary hedge, which needs a cut as well. So I'll include that photo now of what it did look like this time last year. Then you've got all the paddocks, and you can see the paths that I normally do. So in, was it March time, I used the flail mower to hack all this down, and yeah, and there we are, not bad. And that field over there is part of the property as well. I can't imagine doing that with the flail mower, be there forever. Okay, so pretty much got the sides and that. I just need to do the top bit from the other side. You can obviously see I've done in there, and then I mean I could start a bit of this, but to be honest the wasps are sort of working their way up and down here, so I'd really only be doing a little bit. So I think what we're going to do is just do the top of that bit and then just leave that there for the moment, until maybe next week. Okay, so I've moved on to other areas. Basically I decided to pick somewhere in the shade, so I thought also here, because this is where I reversed the tractor in, so this was all overgrown, so sort of just kind of like rounded that off a little bit, rounded that one off a little bit, and then these just need a little tidy up really. So but again, tractor goes in there, so that one had to go in a little bit. So yeah, just tidying these up, and then we'll work our way down there. If you remember this hedge, I can basically get 95% of the top, but there's a bit at the back I just can't quite reach, and that's with the extension on and everything, and that's purely the neighbours won't let me go round, even though it's that field there and the neighbour's house is over there, so it's nowhere near it, but they feel it's too intrusive for me to go around and just nip the top off. So anyways, yeah, so it'll be these bit of that tidying, shape that up, and then that hedge side and top. Okay, so that's all this section kind of done. This, just pan out, you can kind of see it's that tree behind's a bit, makes it look a bit rubbish. I might sort of get rid of that. So I've just tried to smarten that up, but it needs to be tighter and cut more regularly, I think. And then we're onto this hedge here. Now what you'll notice is last week, preempting all of this, I went round and I created just a channel just so I can tidy up and drag everything out. It's only got to be dragged to, you see that white bit over there, it's a bit of rubbish on the fire pit, so really all I'll be doing is just with a rake, just rolling it up and down that channel and out. I've got about an hour now before I need to leave, so I think what I'm going to do is stop and tidy up, and then if I've got any more time I shall just carry on with that hedge a little bit, but I don't want to create too much mess and then not have time to clear it up, because I wasn't on drop off, I'm on pick up tonight, and then I'm on pick up and drop off tomorrow. Okay, Friday. It dawned on me yesterday when I was just finishing off that I didn't mention that I just didn't film anything on Wednesday. Busy day. I've seen it all before anyway. So I think this is a fair reflection of lawns. Unfortunately, these are big lawns. So there's about 700 square meters of lawn here. It doesn't get watered. And that's the problem with bigger lawns, unless they're irrigated. The client literally doesn't have time to water them. So we're going to do a bit of a hedge. Now this hedge got mullered in the 22 drought. Portuguese laurel, completely dead. I say dead, it's obviously come back. There's some which unfortunately haven't, but we did talk about ripping it out, but then it showed signs. We thought we'd just see what happens. And as you can see, as you look down there, you can see there's sort of greenness on there, but there's 1, 2, 3, and then there's one here. 1, 2 that have absolutely nothing on it. Even this one is, actually that's a separate one. Yeah, but even that's got signs of some green stuff coming back on. So anyway, all I'm going to do is go through the bed here and just rip out all the weeds and rubbish and stuff. Okay, so I've just done that area right by the hedge that I showed you a minute ago, and then there was a lot of leaves around. These really shed leaves, these do. So basically got a bin's worth of brambles out of the hedge, and then just what was on this lawn. I'm just going to sort of chase that sort of down and around and then pick it up the other side, a bit like herding sheep. So I guess it's 30 degrees. I think you have to remember that although it's 30 degrees, now, and I'm not moaning about it, to be honest, but it won't be long until everything's too wet and it's too cold and it's too frozen. So sometimes you've just got to kind of enjoy it, because as I say, once that, what have we got now, we're halfway through July, so then August will be taken up with doing that hedge, this side, the other side, that hedge, bit on the patio, obviously the equivalent next door, and then at another property where there's a big boundary hedge, and then that with regular mowing visits, etc. And then we're into and then that's August done, and then we're into September, and it's the lawn maintenance season. And obviously with these sort of dried up lawns, there's going to be a bit more repair work perhaps, because at this stage it's never been so bad since the first drought of 18, because we hadn't had a drought like that for a long time. So what happened was all the annual meadow grass died away, and then everybody was left with really patchy lawns. So people returfed their lawns, or they reseeded their lawns. And then when we had the drought in 22, because a lot of the there was less annual meadow grass in the lawns, or regular grass species, that grass just goes dormant because it's longer rooted, so it can sort of tap into a little bit more moisture and stuff. But annual meadow grass is very short rooted, so that just dies away. And what you found in 22 was actually lawns obviously got burnt up, but they just went dormant. Excuse me. So as soon as the right moisture came back in at the end of the summer, the lawns just popped back into life. So there wasn't as much seeding work and things like that which was needed. Obviously what you'll get is you'll always get the odd patch of meadow grass, annual meadow grass, and it'll be the same. So there will be a little bit of seeding here. If you remember, this lawn was very mossy because of the shade and things like that. So now's a great time. It's all about timings, but what I want to do on this lawn is get a good scarify on it, and then I'm hoping to get a demo on a pedestrian seeder, which hopefully is going to reduce the need for bringing soil in. Obviously it's the cost to the client, but it's also the time, the physical time of moving it all around, and then if you're getting orders of soil here, there and everywhere, and of course then it rains, it's difficult to spread it when it rains. So if you can actually just get the seed into the ground, it just makes it easier all round for everybody actually. So so that's the plan. It's just about timing really. So again, I wouldn't try to do anything like that till end of August time, but really you want a good bit of rain on the horizon just before you do it. You want it to be nice and dry when you do it, but then you want that instant rain. The problem is with this lawn, you know, if I was to do both sides of this, your standard kind of Karcher sprinkler, you'd probably need to move once, twice, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 times on this lawn, and 3 or 4 times on that lawn. So, you know, let's just say 10 times, and that's in one sitting. So it's and you imagine if it's seed, you want to keep seed damp, so you need to be doing that every single night, and it's like, well, that's just not going to happen. So with a bigger lawn like this, you need to try and time it so the elements help you out, and you know, that rain comes and it keeps everything damp. I do think that nowadays the weather stays milder for longer, so I do think that, you know, you can be looking to get into sort of October and still be seeding with no real risk of frost. That's not to say that won't change, but that seems to be how it's kind of going at the moment.